wanted to go over some of Definiti's Secure 2.0 defaults. First of all, I wanted to go over the timing for secure amendments. I know a lot of people have been curious about those. Most plans will need to be amended by January 31st, 2026, which seems like a long way off, but for those of us who do administration and document work, it comes around pretty quickly.
Betsy, I'm sorry, are you sharing slides?
Yes.
Okay, we're not seeing those right now.
Oh, sorry about that. Thank you. How about now?
Now we have it. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Yes, so most plans will have to be amended by 12/31/2026. Tax exempt and union plans will have until 12/31 of 2028 to amend. Governmental and 403Bs will have another year as well, so they'll go out to 12/31 of 2029. Definiti works with ASC as our document vendor, and they do not have their Secure 2.0 amendments ready yet. I just saw, I think yesterday or today, that the IRS put out their language for secure amendments. So we anticipate having those by fourth quarter of 2024. In the meantime, plans can administer their whatever provisions they elect under Secure 2.0 in good faith compliance. And so we're going to go through what some of the elections that Definiti has made with our Secure 2.0 committee. We've had an internal committee, and some of these defaults we've selected because we think additional guidance is needed. Some of their questions are with the record keeper's readiness, and Definiti is monitoring this as guidance comes out, and we'll continue to communicate with you and your clients. Many of our provisions are optional, and the plan sponsors can elect to do something other than what we've defaulted them into by, let me see if I can do this. I've got to show you, there we go. Sorry, technology. Definiti has a Secure 2.0 page on our resources tab, and this will show you, here's the mandatory provisions, which no changes can be made. Then as you scroll down, you'll see the optional provisions. And we see, this is awaiting guidance. Should you choose to do something different than what Definiti has suggested, you can click this button and it will provide a form so that this can be submitted to Definiti so that we can track this for plan sponsors. RPCs can fill this out as well. Once one of these is submitted on a plan sponsor's behalf, the plan sponsor will receive a confirmation email, and we'll maintain this until the time comes to restate for Secure 2.0. We will go through the things that we've defaulted yes to. Most of the things are pretty straightforward. One of the things a lot of people have been questioning is the mandatory cash out rules or mandatory distributions. Secure 2.0 increased the $5,000 threshold to $7,000. Definiti will do that to extend a plan sponsor is still using the $5,000 limit. We do have some clients who have kept the limit at somewhat less than $5,000. Those clients will remain at the lower threshold. We will not move them up to $7,000 unless they tell us otherwise. We are going to opt into employee self-certification for hardship distributions. This was available beginning after December 29th of 2022, the enactment of Secure 2.0. This allows a participant to certify that they meet the hardship requirements and that they will be and that they satisfy the immediate and heavy financial need, and it's not going to require them to provide substantiation to the plan sponsor. The plan sponsor can ask for proof, but it's at their discretion. It's no longer required. So that will be our default. But I wanted to point out that those of you whose clients are using our 316 services will not adopt self-certification. One of the services we offer with 316 services is that we actually review the documentation for the plan sponsor, and we will continue to do that. Catch-up contributions are increasing for employees aged 60 to 63 for plan year 2025, and they'll increase the greater of $10,000 or up to 150% of the regular catch-up amount for the 2025 calendar year for employees who have attained, again, 60 to 63. And after 2025, that limit is going to be indexed for inflation. IRS hasn't told us whether this rule is actually optional or not, so Definiti is opting into it. In the event that it is optional and plan sponsors don't want to use it, they would have to let us know that. And again, that sheet that I showed you before, the website could be used for that. One other provision that we're opting folks into is federally declared disasters. For a while there, IRS, when they declare a disaster, when FEMA declares a disaster, IRS would rally the troops and issue these notices to allow for additional distributions and options and loans available within the disaster area. This codifies that, so IRS wouldn't have to put together all those notifications. It allows distributions of up to $22,000 to be taken for affected individuals, does not subject those distributions to the 10% penalty. They can take it into their income over 3 years, so the income tax burden is lessened, and they can repay those amounts to the plan. If the plan allows for loans, it can allow the loans to go up to $100,000 or 100% of the participant's account balance, which is usually limited to 50% or $50,000. So again, our default will be to allow for these additional distributions and loans. There's another option under Secure 2.0 where you can increase benefit accruals by amending the plan retroactively. This is available after the 2023 plan year. I've gotten a lot of questions about how this works. So the example I always use is if you have a 401k plan and they want to add an employer contribution, say a profit sharing contribution, they could do that. If they asked us in May of 2024, we could amend the plan for that provision, and we could even do it as late as their tax filing deadline for the 2024 tax year. Note that you can't add matching contributions retroactively. IRS likes to make sure that participants know what the matching rate is when they make their deferral elections. The Definiti's default is this will be allowed if it is a increase in benefits and it's after the applicability date, which we are already after that date. So if you want to amend your plans retroactively, we may be able to do that to increase benefits. So you would want to talk to your RPC, who could talk to the document team. Some of the things that we are opting out of would be optional treatment of matching or non-elective contributions as Roth contributions. This was a big topic when this first came out. It allows all the participants' contributions to be treated as Roth in their current plan, provided they convert it to Roth contributions. Definiti's default will be not permitting this because a lot of the record keepers are not promoting this because they have not updated their systems for it. So unless we receive guidance or changing information from our record keepers, we're going to not permit that. Another thing that's gotten a lot of press is student loan payments, treating those as elective deferrals for purposes of matching contributions. There's still a lot of guidance needed. The questions are, if I'm a participant making student loan payments, how do I document that to my plan sponsor? Do I just self-certify, or do you take my word for it? And then those contributions are matched, and then they're tested in the 401M test. Some of the other ones is a quick list. Military spouse plan credit, we're not permitting that. Withdrawals for emergency expenses, we're not permitting that. An exemption for certain automatic portability transactions, we were not going to permit that. These pension-linked emergency savings accounts, again, that's not something we were getting into. Domestic abuse distributions, we were not going to permit those. Qualified long-term care distributions, we were not going to permit those as well. And you'll notice a lot of these distributions are things we've opted out of. And my thought is, for years, IRS and Congress have been concerned with money flowing out of retirement plans. So I think we really want to try to make sure that these funds stay in the plan for retirement purposes. And again, any of these that we've opted out of, the plan sponsor can go on to the website and change their choice, so we can override that. There are some mandatory Secure 2.0 provisions. There's an increased age for required minimum distributions. It used to be 70 and a half. For 2023, it went up to age 73. It's going to be up to 75 by 2033, and it's going to step up in the interim. And our RPCs will be working with the clients to make sure that those RMD requirements are met. Family attribution rules are changing, and these changes, frankly speaking, are long overdue. These changes or these rules go towards tracking if a plan meets the control group or affiliated service group rules. Previously, if a plan sponsor was in a community property state and the only attribution was due to a community property rule, that could trigger a control group. So, for example, if I own a dental practice and my husband has a medical practice, and we live in, say, Louisiana, which has community property, our practices would deem to be one employer as far as IRS was concerned. So we'd have to make sure we were both covering everyone under our plan. The same would be true if I had my dental practice, my husband has medical practice, and we had a toddler. That minor child, if the minor child is the only link of attribution, that is now ignored for control group purposes, which is a good result. Because we had a lot of small employers who were in control group situations that really had no intention of being part of a control group or offering a larger benefit. The one thing that's also garnered a lot of interest is this long-term part-time rule. We cannot opt out of that. With Secure 1.0, there's a rule that participants with 500 or more hours in 3 consecutive plan years had to be offered the opportunity to defer into the plan. Secure 2.0 retains that rule, except they changed the requirement from 3 consecutive years to 2 consecutive years. And it also expanded that this rule applies to 403B plans covered by ERISA. And if you have questions about the long-term part-times, there's a lot of information under the resources tab on the Definiti website. And I know we've been communicating with your plan sponsors as well. Mandatory automatic enrollment for new 401k plans with 11 or more participants. For the 2025 plan year, we're going to need to amend some plans that were set up since the enactment of Secure 2.0 that did not have automatic enrollment. Those plans will need to be amended to add automatic enrollment for the 2025 plan year. It's calendar year plan 1/1/25. And the rule is those participants will need to be automatically enrolled at 3% with an automatic increase of 1%, not to exceed 15% in the aggregate. Keep in mind that participants may always opt out of automatic enrollment, so they're not stuck with it if they don't want to have it. A Roth catch-up contributions. After Secure 2.0, for those employees who make more than $145,000 in the prior year who are in FICA wages, box 3 on their Form W-2, their catch-up contributions must be on a Roth basis. There were a lot of questions. It says FICA wages, and people thought that might have been a mistake in drafting, but IRS clarified in some of the guidance that came out. So this does not apply to self-employed individuals because they don't pay FICA wages. So they would still be able to have Roth or pre-tax catch-up contributions after 2025. And another change that came was simple IRAs can transition to a 401k plan mid-year. It used to be that you have to wait till the end of the calendar year expired for that simple IRA. There's changes now that we can make that change mid-year. So if you have a simple IRA client that you want to move to a 401k plan, I reach out to your Definiti representative and we can talk about that. We will continue to communicate to you and your clients through our secure resources on definiti.com. As additional guidance is issued from the IRS and our record keepers, it will be discussed. Anything we discussed here, we'll continue to update you on via our Definiti dispatch or the website. So please keep an eye out for things. Again, if they want something different than our default, there is the website that they can click on, or they can always call their RPC who would submit the same form on their behalf. And again, we're going to store those elections for the time when the time comes to restate for Secure 2.0, and our document team will use those submissions. Will, does anyone have any questions for me? I kind of flew through that.
No, you did great, Betsy. Thank you so much. I did have a couple quick ones come through. One of the questions was, do we have a default for terminally ill participant distributions?
That's actually one that came up the other day when I was talking to plan sponsors. We do not. For the most part, we were opting out of early distributions, and the terminally ill participant distribution, what that does is it's another exception to the 10% penalty for premature distributions. So I think we are going to be revisiting that and maybe change our stance there. So watch for a communication on that soon. I've already set up a meeting with our Secure 2.0 committee to kind of revisit. Because, I mean, obviously we want to do the right thing for our plan sponsors and their families, and we want to make sure that the plan is flexible enough for those needs that are out there, but we also don't want too much of the money to be flowing out. Does that make sense?
Yep, that makes perfect sense. And I think I have time for one more quick one as well. It's more, I think it might be more of an observation, but it does bring a good point. So going back to student loan payment provisions, a lot of folks have been, directing them back to HR and internally at the company, of course, and they're simply stating that it's either not available or they're not familiar with it. I'm assuming since it's such a new provision, in your opinion, do you think it's just not quite ready there programmably or within record keepers and of course with payroll quite yet, even though it is available?
Correct. And that's one thing I know there's a lot of uncertainty as to how it would work with payroll providers. And I think we really do need guidance from IRS because all the guidance they've put out, they've always skipped that one. And I don't think they know how to handle it either. So, they just keep passing the buck on that one. So we'll be waiting for it.